My name is Elizabeth Nasaka. I come from a background of strategy and business development. My education spans from, I have a master's degree, postgraduate. I started my PhD, but took a hold on it so I could do something substantial. Education is a little bit expensive and timely, but I'll pursue it. I am a mother of 2 boys, 10 and 6. I pride to be a mother of boys. I'm very particular about boys, men, women, and young individuals for the next future. And this has brought in the aspect of why I'm passionate about what I do. And I've been in the development industries. I've worked with the governments, the private. We've successfully put on an not-for-profit. My first attachment was with the government, the Ministry of Water. I think that's where I understand the scope around
How long
government.
ago was that?
That was in 2013 when I did before I finished my master's, my undergraduate. In 2014 I graduated with my undergraduate, enrolled for my master's. It was in business administration, but specialized in procurement, and for some reason. Kenya Methodist University. Yes, KEMU. And then joined Catholic University of East Africa, pursued my master's.
Master's in?
Strategic Management and Leadership. Successfully completed it. Of course, in between I was working. I was in the research field, working with research institutions, running my own business. I'm an entrepreneur, so I was able to juggle in businesses, working, and at that particular time I was also a mother. So juggling in also becoming a mother, being a mother. And I could say, what better way to learn than digging yourself into it?
Yeah.
So that's much about it. But I would say, from my strategy learning and the development aspect, I am very passionate about Africa. I'm very passionate about development. And when I studied and engaged with people on a higher level, leaders, and I remember when I sit in the board of Africa Economic Summit, where we regulate conversations around Africa and the policies and what will make Africa great again. This came up, I think it was from one minister or president, if I'm not wrong. How do we make Africa better? Because some of the problems that we go through, cut across, they are more or less the same in Africa, if I'm allowed to be biased a little bit. And I started realizing the gaps. And I'll say something. I love stories, so I give stories. In a certain room, there was a professor with 11 students. And this professor came up with a problem. And he wrote the whole problem in the whiteboard. And out of 11, only 10 talked about the problem. So 10 of these analyzed the problem. This is what the problem is going to do. This is the problem. And in the midst of the conversation, only one person out of 11 raised his hand and said, you know what? I have the solution to the problem. Guess who was hired? The one who provided the solution. And all the 10 were fired. Because they're all lingering on the problem, but we have now to focus on the solution, so we move faster. That's how I realize the aspect of strategy and development. If we keep on focusing on the problem, we will take in more time to grow more problems. Why don't we focus on solution and tackle each problem at a time, like in the game of chess or football, for those who understand better. Yeah. So passionately, I delve into strategy, identification of gaps, and passionately we realize if the industry has to develop, you have also to change the strategy. The strategy is not the now strategy, we look at the future strategy. Maybe since 2016 to now, or since 2013, I didn't spend so much time inside the government, but I was working very closely with the government. So I will say I've been working with the government directly or indirectly, because of course government set out policies. And I form part of the in-government right now on the strategy development, but it was for a good cause. And we are still working with the government closely, even them enabling us to set what we are doing right now. So if I could give a number, 10 years of experience, government and private, all cutting across Africa. That, I'll honestly say, it made me identify the solutions towards the problem. Because for every entrepreneur and even the government and the stakeholder themselves, they are here to solve the gaps. And so for why I'm here, once I've been working with them or finding workable solutions, it was also in relation to what are the problems, what are the challenges, and how can we do them better. So one word that came revolving around towards all these processes and experiences, how do we stay sustainable? And this is why we are here. Some of the choices, some of the successes and the mistakes are based on us not looking at the sustainability effect of the now and the then and the future to come. So all I've garnered from this experience is how do you stay sustainable as a nation or as an entrepreneur or a business. So 2 years ago, out of my passion for Africa and creating these workable solutions for Africa, and I was a CEO for an electrical vehicle that was being pioneered in Nairobi for East Africa region. And of course, we understand the aspect of climate. Climate has been a major factor in contributing where we are, environment and the aspect of ESG. So 2 years ago, I started this conversation with a Norwegian firm called Productive, and they were looking for solutions to stay sustainable in the market. The element was around construction and manufacturing. At that particular moment, I couldn't understand that construction element because they are very tech on the aspect of assembly and de-assembly without waste. Like literally no waste. Assemble, de-assemble, no permanent structure, no waste at all. Then we started this conversation, how do you stay sustainable if this organization in Norway wants to grow and it wants to come to Africa? So I realized with the then partner that there's an we can only create an enabling environment. And me being an African and seeing the challenges and the solutions that are there, and if I'm talking about sustainability, there's a lot of waste. Human waste, knowledge waste, food waste, which is agriculture, energy waste. So everything about sustainability is on waste. I learned that from this interaction with the Norwegian firm, the private company. And we agreed, how about we form a village that will talk and show what sustainability means in regards to waste management. United Village was formed 2 years ago. Then United Village Global was incorporated last year, October, in Geneva, after doing a whole feasibility study, research analysis around sustainability. And there's no sustainability, and I learned also about circular economy. There's no sustainability if there's no circularity. That's why for United Village, it's a circular motion and hands together. So there's no waste maximization and waste management in all spheres. From our logo, from the picture, you can see the circularity and the hands coming in together. It's all about the people. We realize the biggest tool and wheel that will sustain any economy is about people. So what informs United Village Global is a knowledge-based organization. It is incorporated in Geneva, and it's supplied by its members. It's a member-based organization, has a tandem structure of the profit and the non-for-profit. This conversation should be very clear. We cannot talk about sustainability if we don't talk about staying sustainable. How do you stay sustainable? There has to be a business aspect that sustains you. Why has many other NGOs not been successful? But I regard those who have been successful in transformation, because once you go to an investor and they pull in some investment in you and you don't have sustainable effects to make you stay in the game, you will go back to the same investor and say, you know what, I've replenished what you gave us, we want more. So our knowledge, our system is to create knowledge, awareness, to impact, so that once we give this knowledge transfer, and us being invested into from our structure, the business side, we don't go back to keep borrowing for more. So we stay sustainable in our operations, in our models, in our projects, and of course this is willed by the people that we have who are our members. The major focus areas, we have 4 activities under UVG. We have advocacy, which we have programs under advocacy. I pioneer one of the programs there called WISP, Women in Sustainable Prosperity. We are very passionate and very respectful of the women around the world. We understand the aspect of women. So under advocacy and in WISP, Women in Sustainable Prosperity, we are defining the natural aspect of a woman, and not just a woman to be seen. What have they done, or what are they doing in their community? Some of our women, I'll mention a few. We have Tegla Lorupe. You've all, maybe for those who know Tegla Lorupe, the ambassador that we behold, who has held several medals in marathon. She comes from a community that, from the northern part of Kenya. And she has done amazing from what she has done. We have Tegla Lorupe Peace Foundation, so bringing in peace and harmonious activities in the region. So we showcase stories that sell and stories that tell. So these stories are only stories that will inform our young women. That is not just about you being a woman and sitting in the house while you're given this knowledge, and of course you've gone to school, if you can go to school and become this resourceful individual. Trickle it down to your community. I go back and say our mission as United Village Global is to help the youth see their future in the village. How do we do that? We can only empower, impact, and give them equity in the businesses that we behold. So in that, circularity is informed. So one of the activity I've said is advocacy, and we have WISP. The other activity is training and knowledge skills. So we train, we have a training model. We also partnered up with different organization and learning institutions. I could mention like Strathmore, I could mention like Jomo Kenyatta University in the architecture department. So we train. We understand the number of youths who would really want to join universities might be limited also to various things, including accessibility to these universities, including financial resources. But as United Village Global, we intend, and we've done this, to create an exchange program of internship program where we train. From our members, we train. Like, let's say we have a partnership with Strathmore University. For those who cannot make it to join Strathmore for various reasons, under Strathmore bracket, they train our youths in particular skills, in their own strength and skills, and then we give them jobs from what we are building at the United Village Global. That's number 2. Then there's a feasibility study, and in our feasibility study of the main activities, we carry out research and analysis out there. From here, we are building an R&D center where we now know data sells than oil, if I can say that. Data and information sells. Information is power. We have this thing in United Village. I give credit to my partner, Rune. He came up with this. If cash is king, knowledge is queen. And in the circular economy, she rules. Why are you and me here? Because for some reason we have a particular knowledge. So we cannot talk about circularity if there's no knowledge. So if you want to dominate the market, we have to be a knowledge transferable kind of organization or company. So for United Village, we're talking about circular economy. Knowledge is queen, and we have to empower our queen. So we have to build up a system. We are building up an R&D center of different programs and projects that you can always go back and refer. If you're looking in any particular industry, energy, water, food, our management style is built on different advocacy groups. We have task forces that are held by independent various board members. We have a whole board member structure, and we have our executive system team. So inside our feasibility study, we partner up with various organizations and members to build up an R&D center. So the other 4th activity we have is standards. So we build up, we partner up with our partner in South Africa, Johannesburg, and this partner has been certified globally to set up ISO systems, International Procurement System. Because again, how do you substantiate what you do, like quality over quantity. So anything that goes out has to be measured. How do you measure knowledge? How do you measure impact? How do you measure transformation? So we have our ISO standard quality. So we make sure that everything that we do, everything that we engage in, the projects that we are building, which I will gladly talk about, has to go through the procurement system of standard and quality management. So our office and operation is run in South Africa by one of our partners who sit in Johannesburg, and we have a regional office there. So under United Village, we realize we cannot be just another NGO that just go and dish out and disappear. So we've created a system where we are building up projects and system. So we have various projects that we are building. We have, if you can see, even if you visit our website, you'll see we have the pods coming in. We are defining agriculture. We know food has to be the anchor of any economy. So we are redefining agriculture by introducing vertical farming, hydroponic farming, where, let's say in the system like this one, in a setup like Nairobi setup, space is becoming an issue and not everybody will own a land. So what do you do to stay sustainable on the food aspect? So we are training individuals, we are training youths, we are training people like you and I to use your space. And so we are setting up hydroponic farming just behind our backyard. And you have your food, you have your system, and it's regulated by an automated system that comes to your phone, your laptop, to engage with you when the crop is ready without a distraction. We have just introduced these projects. We've engaged with schools, I've mentioned to you. We've engaged with different farmers that are ready to take this up locally and internationally. We have some schools in Gong that we are setting up this as a prototype and the pilot. And also we have our own space. We've engaged with a company called Mambo Software, where they are ready to pioneer this on automation, how to show hydroponic and the system, and how to realize high yield in farming. Because again, as I mentioned from the beginning, it's all about waste. So now that we are talking about space and land, how do you utilize the small space that you have? We are partnering up with some organization that have a whole database for Kibera and Kosovo in Uganda. So we are training up these women how to have the hydroponic setup in our homes, so they can stay sustainable when it comes to having fresh living and fresh styles of having food at your table. Our system doesn't allow us as Elizabeth to take credit on ever. Our organization is built by our members. It is a member-based organization. So one of our members is Tegla Lorupe. Another member is another lady from South Africa. I will keep mentioning them. So from their database, we empower Tegla Lorupe by what we have as United Village. Then it trickles down to the women that are under Tegla Lorupe Peace Foundation. So we train the members, we empower them with resources, we empower them with knowledge, we empower them with tools like learning tools, and then they go and empower their system, because again, we cannot just take over the system without understanding what that community needs. And because we cannot be everywhere, our members report to us that this community needs this. It's tailor-made for each community. So criteria, how we onboard our members, you have to have a track record and a staying power, and you also have to showcase the stuff that you've done within your community, because we are a community based. We have around 150 members right now across the globe. It is pretty a new organization, but we are accelerating on a very high level, So we are still onboarding, but we want to first set up projects within these communities and within our members' community area. Across all profession, not limited by borders, not limited by color, and not limited by education. Because if you realize, we have to trickle. Our strategy is bottom top. So if it takes, we have to listen from the bottom so it goes up. So it's for us to go and headhunt and find the workable solution. So we take it down to the community, then they will roll it down in a circular motion in their community and for their community. That is why United Village Global is here, to bridge this gap here, the client and the customer. We have to, that's why we are seeking, and we have investors who have shown interest, and we got our first investment to set up the operation and the system for UVG. Yes, because you've realized the gap is huge for an entrepreneur to go find out, or to go find the right pool of funding. So yes, we really invest in finding the right funding and partners to fund whatever project that is sustainable in the community. Ours being a member-based, our members are our supplier. Let me pick in the sports industry. We have Tegel Rupe Peace Foundation. So these funds come to United Village Global. We are the regulating body. So like right now we are building up or setting up a sports center in Laos with the government. We are about to engage this conversation about Hall of Fame, realizing the talent and the sports in the community. Because again, the government cannot do everything. We have to support where we can. And so when these funds come to us, we already have measures and metrics. And remember, I talked about our standard. The quality system has to assess the impractical, like the practical aspect of these funds, where they are going, and the kind of impact they will have on the community. So if there's no impact, there's no work. Our mission has to trickle down to the community, to the youth. So we make sure that we engage the youth. Like right now in our system, we are working with the youths on this aspect of the sports. They are picking out different analysis, they are picking out research, the gaps, the problems, and then we draft it in a concept and put it and present this. This is where the feasibility comes in. Present to the investor, because every investor is also interested in different areas. Not every investor wants to invest in everything. So under sports, we know that the impact has to be realizing talent from our youths, which cannot be realized maybe in the village out there. Then we put them in a segment where we can pick talent and take them wherever, Of course, having an ambassador like Tekla Lorupe who's been there, we can rely on that aspect of talent, yes. So the willing power, the pool is United Village. We don't just give funds for the sake of giving funds. We have to have gone through the process of measuring. That's why I say there has to be a track record. You have to have a track record as a member to subject and prove why you need the funds and where they are going to go. So for United Village goes and do the whole market analysis and research, and then it comes in, then we build the system together. We also build the system. I think basically what I've done is I'm very passionate about people. And I've done, even setting up this global organization is huge enough to tell that I am very passionate about seeing our youth, and I'm actually very passionate about women, so we can realize and support. It's all about people. If people are given chances and opportunity, if you're talking about 40 under 40, I'm still under my 40, and I believe somebody gave me chances in life. And if we give people chances to showcase their talent, to give out what they have, not based on the face value, we can talk about sustainability and transformation. Looking at what is happening in the country right now, aligning with our mission to help our youth see the future in the village. A village is a community. Nairobi is a village itself. But there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap in America. There's a huge gap in every part of the world where inclusivity for these minority individuals, and I talk about women and children and youth, they are given positions, or they are given equal opportunities, to showcase what they have and what they can do. And we cannot talk about the future if we don't include them. So for me, I am, even setting up United Village Global, it was all about the people. If we give people chance and opportunities, we can stay ourselves the longest in the field. Absolutely, 100%. Because I don't want to die as Elizabeth, I want to die as an institution. And only institutions transform lives. Because if I die as Elizabeth and I go with everything, it wasn't worth it. It can only be as an institution. My biggest advice, I always say, show up. Show up when you're shaking, show up when you're trembling, but show up. There's nothing big that is big beyond humanity. So for the young girls, for the young women, I keep telling them, because for some reason these opportunities only come to those who are ready. But it can only happen if you show up. Show up your skills, open up your voice, do something. Nothing is too big beyond humanity, and nothing is too big beyond that village girl. Because I am a village girl, I come from a village, and sitting here, I've realized showing up, even when life was tough in Nairobi, for some reason I wanted to go back to the village, I stayed, and that is showing up. Show up to opportunities, show up to a day, knock on those offices, knock on your dream, but keep showing up. I wouldn't say the ones in the village are disadvantaged versus the one in the city or in the urban centers. It's just how the resources are transferred. The proximity towards the hospital, where we are right now, and accessing the hospital, it is quite easy. But if you see the proximity towards the village, if the house that is in the center of the village and a hospital might be a challenge. So that means if there's an emergency, life is lost. If there's an emergency in Nairobi, maybe life may not be lost because of proximity issue. So for me, it is maybe not about disadvantagedness, it's about resources, and it's also about someone realizing that resources can be trickled down to the village. And that's why for United Village, we are all in the circularity motion, building up a system that goes no waste and that stays in the village, bringing hard currency in the village. If you're building up a system, it has to be sustainable in food, water, manufacturing, production, trickling all around to the village. Hospital, health, that tells you that there's nobody is going to be disadvantaged. What you can find in the city, you can equally find it in the community, in the village. We are not biased towards gender. We have, as long as you're a youth and you're breathing and you're a human being, you are our target market. Yes, but we are also keen on the minorities. And in our system, we know who the minority are. So even in the category of the youth, we know the minority might be the women. So those has to find a balance. So we are trying to find a balance towards the cluster and of course the minority, the disabled, the women, the children. Like right now, we give thanks to technology. You don't even have to go there. You meet them on the social spaces, you meet them via call, you meet them. So it's like almost every other day we meet them. Like even the other day we had these women from the northern part of the world, and we are conversing on different issues that are affecting our global market. So it is almost like an unavoidable meetup. We meet them every single day, and this motivates us to realize we are in the right platform, right timing, and we are doing the right thing. Because the more we get them, the more we realize a need for them. My normal day starts at 4. I have to be up by 4 because, again, I mentioned I'm a mother of 2 young boys. I have to wake up and ensure that I participate directly in their engagement, school setup, breakfast. And for some reason, at 4, I cannot sleep beyond 4. Even most of the stuff, the emails I respond, if I can respond with my phone, I take like an hour before, then I'm out of bed at 5, take care of my children, prepare to come to the office around 7. I'm here, respond, build, structure, do physical meetings, because we are setting up a huge organization. We have not reached our intended reach out, but we are there. We are doing it very well. And I mentioned that we have an event coming up in Nairobi. It's called Circular Convergence, because another way to interact is to put up an event that brings these heads and people together. So we are putting up so the world will know the aspect of circular economy. what circular economy. We really want to teach and empower people out here what circular economy, including learning institution, if this is something that can be introduced into our curriculum. Because with circularity, there's sustainability. And if there's sustainability, then wars, wastage will be another story for another day. The location will be yet to be communicated. We are still negotiating with some few spaces. The main goal we want to bring is to bring in the investors and the other NGOs and businesses, and of course the people. We want to showcase projects that the youths have done, so we are building up different projects that will be showcased during that time. I've talked about the food aspect. We have a kitchen pod coming up. We have a sanitation pod coming up. We have a vertical growing system coming up that is automated differently. So we have even a system of dome that is coming up to showcase what circularity means inside our community. So if you can sustain food, water, energy. So we are bringing all these industry players who have something to showcase, and then we are showcasing what the village has done or can do, and also we are showcasing the impact of how it trickles down and how it can be measured, and of course bringing investors together.